So JP, thank you for joining us this morning. I really appreciate you coming on to answer some questions that we have around kind of SKOUT cybersecurity. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about SKOUT and some of the threats that we're facing today.
No problem, Molly. It's fantastic to link with MJ Flood, and we've a really great working relationship there. So I'm delighted to be on, and yeah, great to have a chat.
Brilliant. So firstly, I suppose in 2021, we saw a lot of activity around cybersecurity kind of following the large public sector breach. So I suppose, like, what are you seeing in the market at the moment? Is security still top of mind for a lot of organizations?
We did, of course, Molly. It definitely came home to those in Ireland around the issues in this part of the world, but it's probably a symptom of what's been happening over the last 20 years. The threat landscape has evolved. It's obviously top of mind now for individuals, let alone businesses today. So the biggest tempo increase we've seen has been really over the last 18 months. And as you said, we've seen some issues here in Ireland, but across the globe. In recent weeks, even with geopolitical changes, we've seen another push towards more attacks on businesses, particularly small to medium businesses out there, wherever you sit in the world. So it's a symptom, really, Molly, and I think the landscape is evolving. It's unfortunately a problem that we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg at the moment, and that's where the difficulty is, and it's so important to keep awareness out there.
Yeah. And as you know, like, I joined the team last year around the same time that we announced our partnership with SKOUT. So for someone like me who's kind of new to security, where would you tell someone to start in terms of their security setup? Like, where would you begin?
I think the quick answer really always starts with the people. For any business out there, one of the key things you can do that doesn't cost is raise awareness in your organization. That's one of the key lines of defense. But MJ Flood themselves have very mature offering now around helping to secure their environment, customers' environment, and that's really down to what might be deemed basic cyber hygiene. So I can take you through that, Molly, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
As you said, that the problem is coming more apparent. It's here to stay, and one of the key attributes for any business and the key things they can focus on will be what might be called basic cyber hygiene. So what is that today? So really, business owners need to take a lens on the data and the information that's important to them. Do they know where that resides today? What systems does that stay in? It obviously moves from systems as well and into email. There's a movement of data today, but having awareness of that's very, very important, and working with partners like MJ Flood, obviously, to build concentric rings of security around that data. The best analogy we've often used before, it's like your home. You lock your doors and windows to protect it when you are the front gate, you close when you leave your property. It's the same thing for your business. So I think having a strong partnership with an MSP is important. Having a strong partnership with an MSP that knows how to protect that key information. And I think that's one of the first steps that businesses can take. So again, raising awareness, but then also having a look around basic cyber hygiene. Again, going back to the house, when you lock your doors and windows, that stops an opportunistic burglar. So somebody's walking by, you might see the door open, and it's the equivalent of endpoint protection or firewalls around your business. But as we talked about, we lived in a world now where there's more and more bad actors trying to circumvent those controls. So you need visibility. That's of course where we come in and where we partner with MJ Flood on that side of things. So in Europe now, the average length of time from when something happens in a small business, so in their environment, somebody clicks on a link or something happens in your environment, to when you know about it is 197 days. It's like 200 days. So that's a long time for issues to be lurking within your environment. When you bring it back to your first question around the public sector organizations here, or any organization, the average length of time is around 200 days, the same in that case. So visibility is key, Molly, to bring that response time down. it's like the alarm on the house, you know. So
Yeah,
if someone locks
exactly.
the door, that's fine. But if someone breaks that window, breaks the door, the alarm needs to go off. And I think
Yeah.
that's the key thing. And it's all wrapped up into that basic cyber hygiene, Molly. So I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yes, absolutely.
Cyber hygiene. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose like a basic question, but one that might not be obvious, is who is SKOUT for? Like, is it for your small organizations with an IT manager and no security team, or is it for the larger organizations who already have, you know, a cybersecurity team in place?
Yeah, no, good question. Like, problem with cybersecurity, when you go back a number of years, it's always seen as a difficult problem to solve that's expensive. So it was traditionally, Molly, the enterprise customers that would have, for example, the budget to assign to not just IT, but to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
The problem is across all sectors and all types and sizes of businesses. Like, you are equally impacted if you're, you know, 5-person accounting firm and, you know, a larger organization. So the problem is affects us all. In MJ Flood, what we've tried to do, so as I said, it's seen as difficult and expensive, so making it easy and affordable. And you know, really, like we talked about, that basic cyber hygiene does not need to be expensive, and shouldn't be expensive, but it's the right approach. And you know, it's similar to if God forbid anybody was sick, you know, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor gives you the prescription for the certain medicines you need to take to get well or to prevent disease. That's the same thing that's happening in the environment. We need to help educate small businesses around what does good look like, what is it that you need to do to help protect your environment, and that you know, that medicine is the basic cyber hygiene. So the quicker that businesses can adopt a framework that makes sense for them, it just helps them become a hard target.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say, regardless of the size of the organization, the main thing to focus on is visibility.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you got to know you have a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's becoming easier to execute on that, Molly, than ever before. So there's been tremendous advances in obviously technology, and but you know, you got to know the right people as well. You have to have the right relationship. So again, as I said, if you're a small business, I think having you know, a strong relationship with your MSP. So think about that. You need to have a trusted relationship there, more important than maybe some of your other suppliers. Your IT, your MSP provider is someone you want to have a strong relationship with.
And another thing, like, I'd love our customers to understand a bit more is, what are the main differences between like standard SIEM solutions and SKOUT's Managed XDR?
You know, I'd say the first thing is there's not enough options out there for customers. That's the problem. It's all centered around the fact that there's lack of talent, lack of people. There's a tremendous shortage of talent. So you're gonna have more and more technology in the market, but regardless of what technology it is, you need the right people behind that, particularly on a security operating center, which is what we run. So the security operating center is made up really of obviously technology based, but it's really people. And I would frankly say it's code for people. You need the maturity of that security operating center to be as high as you can get to. You know, you can certainly look at the different attributes of what does good look like, and it's really down to the skill sets of the people there and their ability to respond. And you know, it's interesting now, Molly, where, you know, you and I have been on lots of calls with customers where there's more and more inbound problems from customers. So we get the call in MJ Flood often for, you know, for help. And if you are having a cyber issue, the problem is there's no emergency number for cybersecurity. So I think your security operating center, or whoever's providing that service, you know, that's going to become a key component of it, Molly. So that ability to pick up the phone and access help. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense.
And we have to talk about the recent acquisition of SKOUT Cybersecurity by Barracuda. So how's that been going, or is there any changes that we can kind of expect to see following the acquisition?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been an amazing journey, and last July that that happened. But I think, you know, we talk about this with the MJ Flood team, in that the cybersecurity problem is bigger than us all put together. And one of the good analogies, I think, is, you know, if you think about any of us, so SKOUT or MJ Flood, our customers that of MJ Flood, we all have to move at a certain pace. So a small business needs to move their cybersecurity posture fast now, because the problem's getting worse. And we're all in that space. So the areas we're thriving towards improvement is more visibility, more access to threat intelligence, developing the platform at a pace that needs to be there. And with Barracuda now, that's been a tremendous help. And, you know, going back to the pace of the cyber challenge, it's like going down the motorway or the M50 and you're going at, let's say, 50 kilometers an hour. That's your cyber posture. You're going at a pace. You have to keep improving. The problem is that the cyber security landscape and the cyber problem is going at 300 kilometers an hour. So we have to all move faster to you know, help businesses, and businesses need to move as well in the same vein. So starts with educating your staff, having the conversations, starts with building those concentric rings of security, making sure you're protecting your information, but more importantly, having the visibility, knowing you have a problem, and that's where we come in.
I suppose to kind of conclude, like, if there was one thing that customers could do today, what would it be?
I think going back to one of the things we talked about, Molly, having strong partnerships. So you'll have plenty of conversations around the problems getting worse. You know, there's going to be a lot of issues for small businesses today. It's not if you're going to have a cyber problem, it's when. So I think taking which companies are doing, taking a serious look at their basic cyber hygiene, but having a strong partnership with their MSP. So it's like a trust barometer, right? So you're going to have, as a business, your accounting firm or your other third-party providers that you use to conduct your business. One of those, your IT support, and you might have internal IT as well, which is marvelous too. But I would take a strong look at your IT provider, building that partnership out. So when you have an issue, that you get access to the help, and better still, taking a proactive approach around cybersecurity, because, you know, it's those strong partnerships that are going to see people through the wave of issues we're seeing now, and as it increase and over the next number of years.
Brilliant. JP, thank you so much.
Molly, it's a pleasure and always good to talk to you, and thank you very much for taking some time as well.
No problem.